Namaste. Welcome to Bharat Vichar. Today we have Professor Abhishek Banerjee who will be joining us to talk about the elections in West Bengal and what the future holds for that state that has long suffered from political violence and lack of economic development. Abhishek ji, thank you very much for coming on Bharat Vichar. आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you for inviting me.
Abhishek ji, my first question to you is this. Was this election for Mamata Banerjee to lose and BJP to win?
Well, what I would say is this was after the 2019 elections. It had already become a very difficult election for Mamata Banerjee. And in the last 2 years, she has done very little to help her cause. And what she has in fact done is if she had focused on what she did for the state in the last 10 years, which is really not that bad in terms of development and performance is not that bad, then she might actually have won if she had kept it at a strictly local level, if she had, taken a leaf out of what many other regional leaders have been doing for a while now. That they have been avoiding taking pot shots at Modi. If you observe what Tejasvi Yadav did in Bihar, Tejasvi still lost, but he came very close. No?
Yeah.
If you look at how Kejriwal fought in Delhi, if you see how these people fought in Maharashtra and in Haryana, in Jharkhand, how Hemant Soren fought, they kept Modi out of it because they knew that Modi is just too popular to take on. So they sort of skirted him. But Mamata Banerjee went for the, Mamata Banerjee being Mamata Banerjee, she went after Narendra Modi, and as it is, she was always going to be under pressure. Bengal was always going to have a sharp ideologically election, but she made things much worse for her.
I think something went wrong with the... Abhishek, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think your camera just...
Yeah.
I think there's a problem with issue with your camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that okay?
No, I'm not able to see you.
Is it?
Let me just remove you and bring you back again.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. You're back. Yeah, you're saying that she took on Modi, confronted Modi directly, and that has proved detrimental to her.
That was definitely a tactical error.
You said something interesting that Mamata Banerjee has done on the economic front for the West Bengal, unlike the communists who ruled for 34 years. And we don't really need to go back to those dark ages, if I may say so, I use that term.
Yeah.
What kind of economic development actually she has done? Because we seldom hear anything about West Bengal.
Yes, so you have to understand that the way the left front government left the state of West Bengal was beyond pathetic. I mean, the simplest way to look at this is, when they finally ended their governance in the year 2011, Bengal had the highest number of beggars per capita in the country, and not just by a small margin, by like 3 times the national average. So you can imagine the condition of the state. And this is truly a testament to how the left front ran the state. That so they had 30 years, 35 years. I mean, they had absolutely no excuse. They had framed everything from top to the bottom in Bengal, and when they left it, everybody in Bengal is just begging for food. So this was really miserable. So starting from a base like that, she actually built some roads. She started some welfare schemes which actually brought some benefits to people. There were some changes. There was a little bit of urbanization, and of course that was also in keeping with the general development of the country. I mean, the last 20 years of India have definitely been better than the 20 years before that. So trickle by trickle, little bits of development did come in. There was a small amount of accountability coming into the picture. If the power goes off, you can actually call the power EA. And I remember during somewhere in 2012, I think, there was this massive power cut. You might remember this power grid failure all across India.
Yeah.
And one of the states that was not affected was West Bengal, because West Bengal had a more efficient, a privatized power grid, it turns out. So, there were some changes that she had made. Now, if you go to Calcutta, you will see that, there are no mosquitoes. So some work she did get done, and some at the basic levels she did deliver. But the problem with doing a little bit of development is that it creates a hunger for a lot of development. And that's where she starts faltering. So, when she started doing this whole vote bank politics, this Muslim vote bank politics, it really started making people unhappy. And the problem is, well, the left has been there for a long time, and it leaves certain, and when one party is ruled for a very long time, it leaves certain lasting legacies. So one of the legacies, for instance, is that in West Bengal, overt caste politics has all but disappeared. It has just gone away. It will never come back. So that is one of the legacies. Another legacy that the left front left in Bengal is that it made politics extremely ideological. So, so Mamata Banerjee, she might come and say, I've done this, but what have you done on ideological issues? People are asking. That's how the state has become framed. And the third mistake she made was that, instead of trying to separate herself from the left front, she got so angry with BJP that she went and she started calling the left front her Marxist friends. So now, instead of being the 10-year chief minister of Bengal, she has become the 70-year chief minister of Bengal. So she has added on, like 8-9 terms to her anti-incumbency, and now she has not only got her own 2-term anti-incumbency, she has also got 5-6 terms of left front before that, and maybe even Congress incumbency before that. So she is the chief minister since 1947 in this election. And how can you fight that much anti-incumbency?
You said something very interesting right now. You said that in West Bengal there is deep-rooted ideological issues, but you also said that the left managed to get rid of the caste, issues. Could you just elaborate on that aspect, please?
Yeah, so you have to understand that the left front is perhaps the communists by their very nature. They are not just ideological; they are really dogmatic. Now, of course, caste politics is not a good thing. We can all agree on that. But the thing is, the left, by their very nature, they were I remember a few years ago, I think there was this, believe it or not, there was this sharp disagreement between, I think, Prakash Karat faction of the CPM and the Sitaram Yechuri faction of the CPM. What was the disagreement? Did one side say BJP is good, another side say BJP is bad? No. One side said that BJP is fascist. But the other side, so why CPM will get angry if somebody says BJP is fascist? Somebody said, no, you see, BJP is not fascist, BJP is authoritarian. And then they had this really bitter ideological battle over whether BJP is fascist or whether BJP is authoritarian. And for these people, they are mental about this. And for them, this thing really matters. And in their universe is very, very important. So when CPM is doing their politics in Bengal, for them, all history begins and ends with class struggle. And when you are talking about class struggle, it has to be very pure. If you look at the strategy of any other political party in the country, they will always have a mix of issues. They will have certain development issues. They will have their own identity politics. They will have their ideology. They will have various kinds of things. They will have an agricultural aspect. They will have an industrial aspect. They will have some simple PR aspect. But for the communists, the entire election has to be fought purely on class issues. Literally nothing else is possible. Nothing else is allowed. Everything else is just wrong. So for 30 years, even if, at a localized level, some leader somewhere was perhaps using some caste issues, they were like, no way, we only talk about class. And class. And so the entire, like, 2 generations in Bengal, they have never heard of anything other than class and ideology. And that's how they have become. And once that politics is, drawn out of you, it can never come back. So this, I guess, this is one of the good things that came out of the left front, but this will remain.
Who knew the left could do something good for the country?
Yes. I mean, see, everything leads to certain legacies, and nothing has to be bad all the time. I mean, to be fair, it was actually the left front which started this whole problem in Nandigram. Now, they decided to change, and then Mamata Banerjee came and said, no, we will not allow any change. Buddhadev Bhattacharya thought that, I'll do a little bit of industrialization. And then the same problem. The problem with doing a little bit of industrialization is that, there is a bigger backlash than what you are actually getting out of it. So Mamata Banerjee came and went left off the left, and then she won the election. And, things just went downhill for the left from that point onwards.
In 2011, when Mamata Banerjee won, overwhelmingly, she won. Completely destroyed the left in West Bengal. It was their bastion. It was their citadel. Call it whatever you want. Did the people of West Bengal were expecting that now the circle of violence will finally come to an end? These political killings will come to an end, because even today, I think a TMC worker or a BJP worker got killed or badly injured. Did they expect that this violence will finally come to an end and there will be some sanity, some peace in that particular state?
Yeah, so I mean, everybody knows that in Bengal, this culture of political violence has become very endemic. And again, here I will, the blame really does not lie with the TMC, the blame lies with the left. You know, the communists, they have this very approach of if you disagree with me, I have to kill you. I mean, there is nothing else is possible. And
Same in
one
Kerala.
of the things that you will notice with the left is, some people will take umbrage at this remark, is that you will notice that the left splinters very easily. You will see there is this big alphabet soup: CPIX, CPIY, CPIZ, CPIW,
Yes.
Q, X, Y, Z. Why is the, no other party splinters as much as the left does? What is the basic reason for this? The basic reason is the same thing. You will see that this kind of splintering happens anytime you will see there is a. Now I'm telling you in advance, some people will object to this remark that anytime you will see there is a terrorist attack, it is Jamaatu Dawa XYZ. Hafizul says so and so. You will see these terrorist organizations, they tend to split very much because they have a very extremist and very intolerant mentality. So even if I have the smallest disagreement with you, I cannot stay in the same party because any kind of ideological compromise is just anathema to them. So they tend to break into these small pieces. So that's why we often get worried. We often get surprised. That how can there be a terrorist attack in Pakistan? Who are they attacking? No, but in their universe, these things really matter. They really fight each other. According to you, ask every segment of Jamaat Dawa, every segment of Jamaat Dawa is convinced that the guy in Lashkar is actually working for Satan or something like that. So it's for these people, it's very difficult to stay together. So that is where this political violence is coming from. Now the question
So
is, if BJP comes to power, will this political violence stop? In this, I can say quite confidently that the answer will be yes. And the thing has nothing to do with any inherent moral superiority that the BJP or the TMC or any other party may have. The answer is very, very practical. Whenever there is BJP ruling in a certain state, there is accountability because there is a large amount of media and attention and all sorts of attention that is trying to trip up the BJP, that is trying to figure out what has gone wrong with the BJP. Everywhere, every little fault of the party is magnified and put on the national stage. So simply as a matter of having to show their face in front of the world, the BJP cannot rule a state the way the left or the TMC can rule. I mean, the left front under their rule, and this is on record on the floor of West Bengal Assembly, Buddhadev Bhattacharya came and said that 28,000 political murders have happened
that
in
is
my
what
state.
it is.
People are like, okay. In that same year, this was 1997, the United Front people were saying, let us make Jyoti Basu the Prime Minister of this country. If under any other chief minister this had happened, the whole world would have said this man should resign in shame. But Buddhadev Bhattacharya is laughing. Yeah, 28,000 murders have happened. So what? Because nobody will ask a question to the left front. Nobody will ask a question to TMC. But so, for instance, when Panchayat elections happened, 34% of seats went uncontested. Nobody
Uncontested.
said democracy is in danger. Why nobody said democracy is in danger? Because there is TMC. If it was BJP was there, then democracy would have been finished on the spot. So simply out of a sense of shame, BJP is forced to provide a bare minimum of peace. And I remember telling one friend this thing. I think about 4 years ago, there was this BJP had most recently come to power, somewhere around 2015, I think. You might remember that near Delhi there is some highway which some of the where there was this big traffic jam, and I think the jam had gone all the way from Gurugram all the way to Noida or something,
Yeah.
and the media was going on and on. Hurry, there is a big traffic jam. What is BJP government doing? So, I was asking a friend, what kind of government you want? A government in which 28,000 people die and people are saying, who cares? Or you want a government under which, traffic jam can become national news. So, because traffic jam was national news, after that, that jam did not happen again. So if there is a certain amount of, a valve, there is a safety valve on what the BJP does in a state. So they are forced to provide some basic minimum, which other parties are simply not focused on doing. And this is not an India specific phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon. So for instance, what we are seeing right now is, last year, the city of New York, the shootings were up by 97%. But nobody asked a question because it is governed by liberals. And today itself it is happening. There is this person. He is,
An
I don't know if
African
you have seen this
American,
incident. There's a
African
65-year-old
American
Asian
youth.
American
Yeah.
woman. A man has come out and he's kicking her on the ground. And she's a minority. She's an Asian American old woman. It's a heartbreaking thing. And why that man is out? That man is a convicted murderer. In fact, he has murdered his own mother.
Yeah.
That man has been released from jail, and that man is out on the street and he's kicking this Asian American woman. If this had happened in Uttar Pradesh, this would be global news. But because it has happened in New York City and liberals are running New York City, so it is not news. So,
they have problem with Uttar Pradesh. In fact, the funny thing is that I was watching CNN and they were saying that there's mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado, white supremacism, and
it is. There is mass shooting.
Meena Harris went and tweeted that white supremacists, and then she had to retract. She had to delete it because the moment the name came as
I know
Syrian guy, Muslim Syrian guy, the media went completely silent. Mental health issue became a huge debate.
So this is what I call liberal privilege. So because BJP does not have liberal privilege. Now, I'm not saying that BJP should get this kind of privilege, because the job of the media is to hold the government accountable. This is fundamentally not a bad thing. That if there is BJP ruling in a state and something bad happens, everybody speaks up. That is a good thing. That is, I am a common person. I am not a BJP leader. I am not CM, PM or MP or MLA. For me, it is actually a good protection that, if BJP does something bad, then somebody will come out and say something. So, one of the examples I like to give is in Uttar Pradesh. I think it's the year is 87 or 88. There is this tragic incident in Hashimpura. I don't know if you have heard of it.
Hashimpura.
Where, the UP Provincial Armed Constabulary, UP PAC.
Constabulary.
They came and they visited, they went to a Muslim area, and I think some 40 people, they shot dead point blank and threw them into the canal.
Yep.
At that time, Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, and the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister was from Congress. Now, imagine if this had happened under Modi and Yogi. What would have happened? I think government of India would have faced international sanctions. We might even have faced invasion from some other country might have intervened militarily. There would have been such an objection. But because Rajiv Gandhi did it, and Rajiv Gandhi didn't do it, I mean, it was under Rajiv Gandhi, and the UPCM was also from Congress, because they are liberals. They got a carte blanche. They got, So even Muslims are actually much more secure under BJP rule than under.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to digress, but I was a 6.5-year-old boy when the 1984 Sikh riots happened. I know personally Sikh families whose family members have been brutally murdered and they are still awaiting justice. So, that is never discussed. Oh, that was just a social upheaval. People got emotional and all that. Anyway, my next question is that, is Mamata Banerjee paranoid? Because she won with such an overwhelming margin. And in 2014, if she had gone to, when Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, if she had gone to Modi and say that, look, I need your help to develop Bengal, she would have gotten all the help like other, chief ministers. I mean, in Andhra Pradesh, YSR Jagan Mohan Reddy, he is doing a lot of work. I don't want to get into the whole evangelical, that thing that he's supporting, but he is doing a lot of development work. He's trying to get in business in Andhra Pradesh. If she had gone to Modi and asked for this, she would have gotten it. Is she like paranoid, or did she have any other kind of political aspiration that, I might do something different and become a prime ministerial candidate?
Yeah, so here we have to actually understand the fundamentals of, the unfolding of the relationship between Modi and Mamata Banerjee, which is actually very interesting situation of political incentives. See, one has to start with February 2014. In February 2014, Modi came to do his first rally in Bengal. I think it was in Kolkata. And now if you remember, in all of 2013, Mamata Banerjee had been answering questions that if Modi falls short of majority, will you go and support? Today, that question may feel like foolish question, but at that time she was, and there is a reason these questions are. Every time she said no, but everybody knows why that question is being asked.
She supported Vajpayee.
Yeah. So if you go in February 2014, Modi comes to do his rally in Kolkata, and he says that, you people in Bengal, you can have, triple faida. What is the triple faida? You already have Didi in Kolkata to do development for you. You will have me as Prime Minister. And then, of course, Pranabda is yours only. So, there are 3 levels of people will help you. So it tells you what was the kind of relationship. The relationship was quite soft. Now, by May 2014, early May 2014, I think Modi comes to do the rally in Kharagpur. Or I might be wrong about Kharagpur, but I think it was still Kharagpur. So he comes to do the rally. By then, he has got his feedback from Uttar Pradesh. He knows he's winning 270 seats. By then, Mamata Banerjee has also got her feedback across Bengal. She knows she's sweeping all the seats. So then Modi comes and he goes, he's furious against Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee this, Mamata Banerjee that. And by then, Mamata Banerjee is calling Modi as Danga Babu, saying, I will throw him into jail with chains. So, this bitterness is created quickly in this 2 month period where BJP knows they are winning across India and Mamata knows that they are winning across Bengal. So now the question is, after 2014, suddenly you will see there is this explosion of bitterness between BJP and TMC. Congress is feeling subdued and TMC is jumping into that space, and TMC is going nuts. That, we hate BJP, we hate BJP, we hate BJP. So why did this happen? Why didn't Mamata Banerjee think that, now Modi is this big overarching figure across India? Let me make peace with him. Let me reach out to him. I will need him. The thing is, Mamata Banerjee did not anticipate what BJP can do in Bengal. So what Mamata Banerjee, she was not actually fighting Modi. Her aim was different. In 2011, when she won the election, she won it with the support of Congress. Right? What she was really looking at was to dump the Congress party as an ally and go it alone in West Bengal. Now, to go it alone in West Bengal, the only thing that she needed was that she had swept almost every seat, but Congress had also won 4 seats in the Muslim majority regions of Bengal. What she needed was she wanted to dump the Congress, and for that she would need the Muslim voter of Congress to come to her. So she said, okay, how do I win the hearts of the Muslim voter of Bengal? How do I, sideline and destroy the Congress completely? I will go and take on Narendra Modi, then all the Muslim voters in Bengal will like that. That was her calculation. What was not in her calculation is that if all the Muslim voters of Bengal start liking me, if polarization creates counter polarization? This is the part that she forgot. Now, at that point, do you know how many seats BJP had in the state assembly? Big zero. She was like, what can BJP do? Who cares? BJP is nothing. This is only Congress and me. So, it was really fight between Congress and her. And she thought if I hit Modi, then the Congress voters will come to me. But what she forgot is what will happen to the counter polarization. So that year itself, BJP had 0 seats in assembly. But in September 2014, there was a bypoll in Bosirhat Dakhin, and BJP promptly wins that seat. So in 15 years, BJP enters the assembly. Why did BJP enter the assembly? Because Mamata Banerjee was looking somewhere else. She said, no, it's just 1 seat. There is nothing to worry. And she kept focusing on one side, thinking BJP is party number 4 in Bengal. There is nothing to worry. There's absolutely nothing to worry. And then by the time 2019 came, then she got the shock that, these people came so much, and now she's regretting all that. Now she's trying to roll back. She's like, no, I was never doing Muslim appeasement. I am only this Amar Akbar Antony like figure. I am Manmohan Desai's friend. Again, I said Bengal is very ideological. These things will not work. It's too transparent. Everybody can see it. So,
it's strange. My next question. Again, the TMC calls this Owaisi, AIMIM, as BJP's B team, and AIMIM calls TMC and BJP are the same thing. He said that, when she said that I'm from Chandeliya Gotra, so the AIMIM went and said that, if they are all upper caste, where would it leave all the Muslims and all that? So where do you think the Muslim vote is going? Is Owaisi going to
excuse
play?
Me, can you repeat? Could you repeat?
Yeah. Asauddin Owaisi said that TMC and BJP are the same. TMC blamed Owaisi. TMC called Owaisi as BJP's B team. Someone who comes and splits votes for other. What happened in Bihar. Even right now, everyone is upset with Owaisi because he split the vote in Bihar. He won a few seats. So, what is going to happen to the Muslim votes? And from what I hear is that even the Muslim vote, there are considerable, if not considerable, at least say 25% may still go to Modi, 25 to 30% may still go to Modi this time around. And is Owaisi going to play a spoil sport?
Yeah, so there are actually a number of observations here. So this is, unfortunately, this is probably going to be a long, boring answer. But there are many observations here. The first thing is that it is factually wrong to say that Owaisi split the vote in Bihar. See, It is one of the fundamental things you have to understand. It is not really possible to split that particular vote. Owaisi won 5 seats, but that does not mean he split the vote. There is not a single seat in Bihar where if you add Owaisi's votes and Mahagathbandhan votes, it will be more than NDA's votes. Either RJD won the seat or Owaisi won the seat. So, the entire liberal group, they know who is winning, so they will act as they generally there is a possibility that they act as one. Yeah, so if AIMIM is voting, so if MIM is winning, they will go and vote for the MIM. But if they know that MIM is not winning, the vote will go somewhere else. It is not really possible to split the vote. This thing should be very, very clear. And nowhere was this more clear than in Bihar. So in Bihar, OWC did not split the vote. Now, of course, there are certain observations to be made about Owaisi himself. I mean, the name of his party is what, All India Council for Unity of Muslims. So it is really rich for him to come and say what happens to non-believers like me. So what happens to non-believers like me, Mr. Owaisi. And as for caste, I mean, Owaisi is he's an Ashraf. He's the he's the most. I mean, there are very few people in this country who are in a more privileged social background than Owaisi, and his Ashraf base. Right. So because among them, this is the biggest secret about India, that we never talk about caste system inside certain community. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, my internet. Sorry, my internet. I think just went down.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Apologies. You were saying something very interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, he's an Ashraf. I mean, for him to talk about caste privilege is really, really rich. But beyond that, now the question of whether they can split. I mean, Owaisi, I would agree that he's right on one point, that he's not, nobody is beating. I mean, he's part of an entire system of parties that are coming up across the country. There is Ajmal in there is there is
Assam.
Ajmal in Assam. There is Abbas Siddiqui in Bengal. He's there in Telangana, and he's fast building his base in Maharashtra. Now he has built a base in Bihar. So Owaisi is clearly the most successful in the year. If you go further down south, I believe in Tamil Nadu there is one such party also, whose name I keep forgetting. And in Kerala, there is a traditional IUML. And one of the things that I believe is possible is that if the UDF loses this time in Kerala, which I still cannot believe it, everybody is predicting it, but I find it really surprising. If the UDF really
Unlikely.
I mean, so just in case UDF actually loses, then Congress really will look at collapse in Kerala, and then I think the role of IUML will become even more, apparent. So OWC is part of this system of new parties coming up across India. But in Bengal, because Bengal has its own OWC, so I don't think he will be able to play any kind of role that year. But what is very interesting is the possible arrangement between this Fufura Sharif, Abbas Siddiqui, and Mamata Banerjee. Because technically, you see, Abbas Siddiqui is fighting with the CPM. Now,
Yes.
this is the kind of move that it's sort of a double crossing kind of move, because what I think is happening there is Mamata Banerjee has shifted, because she is very worried about being seen as this, appeasing a certain liberal community. So, so what she has done is she has shifted her complicated ally towards the left, and over there it's because the left is going to lose anyway. So what she is indicating is she is giving a signal to her Hindu voters that I am not what you think, what I am being accused of. So she has taken the most radical elements and shifted them in name to that side, because she knows that when it comes down to the actual voting pattern on the ground, it is not actually going to hurt her. Like I said, it is not possible to split that particular vote, because she knows where TMC is ahead, the vote will go to TMC. If they are ahead, the vote will go to them, but they will come and support her after the election. So she has literally nothing to worry. She can shuttle that. She can aram se she can move that vote go to Abbas Siddiqui to that side. Now, because the day the model code of conduct was declared in Bengal, in the last hour, everybody knows that the government clears the most urgent files. In that sitting in that last hour, Bengal government passed 2.6 crore funding for Abbas Siddiqui. Now, if there is Abbas Siddiqui is Furfura Sharif. So I don't know. I mean, this is not. I mean, we don't know Mamata Banerjee personally, but this seems very out of character. If somebody is against her, she spends her last hour in government, giving more money to him. This seems really surprising. And over the last 1 year, 20 crores has been sanctioned. So it is surprising that she would spend so much time giving money to an opponent. But
I think she has been confused, and she has made too many decisions. Some decisions have been very, very quick to jump on, and which might prove detrimental. So recently, during Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Jayanti, Modi said Jai Shri Ram, and Mamata, and that caught Mamata Banerjee, on the wrong foot. What was that entire episode about? I mean, and what is her problem with Jai Shri Ram? Does she think that if she says that, she will lose the Muslim vote?
no, I think this is one of those occasions where she created the entire problem. I mean, during 2019 election, why did she have to? Some random person, some street urchins, they shouted something at her car. Why did she have to come out of the car and chase after them? I remember there was this interview of Mahua Moitro, and I mean, she's not Mahua Moitro is not particularly bright, but I felt bad for her when I think it was with Barkha, and she told Barkha that I feel proud that my chief minister cares about such things, that to get out of her car. You can see it's a really bewildering situation for anybody to try and defend that kind of behavior. You are a sitting chief minister and some street urchin says something, you come out of the car and rush after him. So she created this entire issue. Now it is obviously this is backfiring on her, and now Jai Shri Ram has turned into a taunt, and she will have to tolerate this all through the election. There's nothing she can do. Why did she? Nobody told her.
Because Mamta is Mamta. I have seen her in the parliament throw her shawl at someone, shouting and getting all, she acts like a brat at times, but she's a brilliant politician, no doubt whatsoever, as far as her political acumen is concerned. But I think in the last 3 years, since 2019, she has somehow lost her bearing. But otherwise, I have always thought of Mamta as someone who could one day become president of India, because, that's what I mean. I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mamata in 2011 when she won the election and the left was kicked out. I was like, my God! I mean, her political trajectory is going towards the higher offices. Anyway, do you think BJP is using the tactic of attrition? There is that old Sansu saying, if I may use, I don't like to use it that often, but fight the enemy where they are not, like they did during that small by-election that you mentioned, which BJP won and Mamata ignored, and she gave that small opening to BJP. So Mamata is fighting fire here, Modi goes elsewhere and starts another fire. So is BJP using its battle of is it involved in battle of attrition?
Yeah, in this particular case, they are just using Mamata Banerjee's own weakness against her. I mean, what was the necessity for Mamata Banerjee to come and fight a tough election in Nandigram? This is a character flaw in her. I mean, she's too arrogant, and she thinks that okay, because Shubhendu Adhikari is the tallest leader, I will go and take him on. Traditionally, you are supposed to fight a safe seat so that you can campaign all across Bengal. Every moment that you remove from your campaign and you focus on Nandigram, what about the other 293 seats? I think BJP is delighted that she picked this contest. And now think about the psychology of an average TMC worker. The average TMC worker, now there is a question mark even on the chief minister winning her seat. So what is happening to the morale of a small TMC worker? They are hearing all these things. Now, maybe she has won Nandigram today. It is eminently possible, and honestly, I think it is more likely. But nobody can say today that, she must have won. Everybody in TMC, instead of her workers, instead of focusing on campaigning, they are all sitting and guessing did she win Nandigram? I hope she won Nandigram, because if she has not won Nandigram, then the rest of our effort is completely useless. Now, the problem for TMC workers is that the way the election is structured, as the time is passing, their stronghold areas are going to polls. In the first few areas, the BJP was always supposed to be ahead. So, in the part when the TMC workers now have to stand up and really campaign, they are sitting and guessing who won Nandigram. Somebody will say 50-50, somebody will say no, it's 55%, somebody will say no, he can make it 60%. Okay, so you sit and calculate. Meanwhile, your real job was to campaign on the ground. Now they are sitting and guessing whether Didi has won or not. So she has really let down her workers here.
You sent out a tweet today. This is my second last question, and after that, I'll ask you the final question. On a bit of a lighter note, you had sent out a tweet today that said, "Do we really want Mamata Banerjee to lose Nandigram? And what if BJP wins and comes to power in West Bengal, and she will have to sit in the opposition?" And it got me thinking. Actually, I mean, it's a bit cruel. It's like hitting someone when, but you never know. I will never discount Mamata Banerjee at any cost. But it was quite funny, actually. You said that let her win and sit her, make her, she has to sit on the opposition bench and sulk for the next 5 years. So, bit of a jibe at her. So,
I mean, politicians, they have this very complicated relationship with getting elected to this or that way. I remember Shibu Soren, when he was a central minister and he was an MP. He tried to find out if he can be MP from Dumka and also chief minister of Jharkhand. He was trying to figure out if that is possible. He was told that constitutionally this is not possible. So typically, politicians, they want to keep their seats no matter what. But sometimes things are such that it would actually make a little bit more sense to lose their seat. So, for instance, if you think from now, I mean, I cannot say what any particular person was thinking, but think about Delhi election in 2015 when Kejriwal won. So, Kiran Bedi was fighting the election from Krishnanagar. In retrospect, do you think Kiran, so 67-3 it was. If Kiran Bedi had won in Krishnanagar, it would have been 66-4. What do you think? I cannot speak for any person, but what do you think? Kiran Bedi would have been happy to win that?
In Delhi, I was there in Delhi. Kejriwal won first 28 seats, and after 3 or 4 months, he resigned. And then he realized that he had made a mistake, actually. He could have actually run that government even in minority.
Yes.
So for the first time, a leader who has won 28 seats, which is unprecedented, a party which has won 28 seats, unprecedented, he went to the public and said, "I am very, very sorry. I don't know what I made a mistake. I should not have resigned. I should have continued." So that actually hit with the nerve. A lot of people in Delhi, it resonated with them. Now, the BJP's biggest mistake was to bring Kiran Bedi into the fray. And Kiran Bedi is a very disliked person in Delhi. The lawyers hate her. The things that she did to those lawyers back in the day in the 1980s, and she just hit them very, very hard. And she's what you called an autocrat. She's not a politician. She's a bit authoritarian in nature, and the seat that she lost was BJP's bastion.
Toughest, not the toughest.
You can't lose. Biggest stronghold. You can't lose from there. You can put anyone over there. People don't know of him. I've never heard of him. Hey, this is the BJP guy. That person will get vote. What happened was that even the BJP workers' family members did not vote for Kiran Bedi. So that is what happened. Anyway, my next question was supposed to be my second last question, but I'm going to make this a very small question for you. If we don't know the results of Nandigram until May 2nd, or the entire West Bengal elections, or all the elections in the 4th state, but what if tomorrow Mamata Banerjee goes and files nomination from another constituency? Will that send a very negative reaction to her cadres that, okay, I think she is in trouble?
Yeah, or
will she because of ego?
Yes, Mamata Banerjee's ego makes her prone to making disastrously bad decisions. So anything is possible. But so nobody can predict what she is going to do. We can only predict what will follow from in case she does this or that, right? Now, if she goes and files nomination from another seat, I mean, maybe she will do it. But if she does that, the election is. I think there will not be a single TMC worker left by the time the election reaches that area, because they will be like, okay, so Didi is clearly admitting defeat. This is it. So why would, and in Bengal, I mean, and TMC is not a very ideological party, right? This is just an amalgamation of people who are in power. So they realize that the election is over. Why should they stick with TMC? If and this is one of the things that I often say that have people thought about what happens if after BJP wins, which I think is very likely. What happens to TMC next? I mean, is TMC really able to stay together as a party in the opposition? Because I think this might probably be the end of Mamata Banerjee's career. And I don't know if in Bengal the dynastic succession moving to another person by the same name as Abhishek Banerjee, if that is going to be very successful. So you never know. Maybe the left will get a chance. I don't know.
The left will get a chance. And as you said, the left managed to get rid of the caste politics in West Bengal. And I don't think there has been any dynasty there. No one from Jyoti Basu's family is contesting. And it's a good thing. So thank you, Communist Party of India. I never thought I would say that in my life. But thank you very much. You have enlightened me. Abhishek, thank you so much. So my last question is this. I want to end this in a funnier note, actually. Should BJP give Prashant Kishore some kind of an award? I mean, what the hell this guy has done?
So you see, I mean, Prashant Kishore is there is this. I'm sorry, I have no respect for this individual. You told me that you are from Delhi. You must have heard this proverb about this bullock cart and something going below the bullock cart and thinking that the cart is on my shoulders. So this individual is really beneath contempt. And there are people who told me that that if BJP wins over 100 seats, he is saying he will leave this or that. Who is he to leave this or that? What is the worth of his words? I have a policy of not even naming this individual. I mean, he's a nothing person. So, yeah.
BJP has to be grateful to this Prashant Kishore for actually turning things around in the last, I think, 6 months. I think the last 6 months, the momentum completely changed. Even last 6 months, BJP would not have thought that, they maybe 50 seats or 60 seats. But I think the way things have gone, unraveled, now BJP is looking at over 150. And it's amazing how things can change so quickly in West Bengal.
Yeah, so I mean, this is. I mean, let us not even discuss this person. This person. He doesn't deserve being discussed. I mean,
no. Now that gentleman has gone to Punjab to Captain Amarinder Singh with a cabinet rank. Anyway,
he's a free citizen of this country. I mean, I wish him best of luck in all his endeavors. But yeah. So.
Anyway, I hope that some sanity finally prevails in West Bengal, and there is peace, there is a sense of security, and there is law and order in West Bengal. I am, let's just say that optimistic kind of person, and maybe BJP might be able to push through 150 seats in West Bengal, and maybe businesses will again return. There was this very sad episode of Birla being beaten in one of the Birla family members being beaten and dragged in the street, and then he took his entire factory away from West Bengal. It happened a long time back. Anyway, I hope things get back to normal in West Bengal, and people have job opportunities over there. Anyway, Abhishek Banerjee, thank you very much for coming on Bharat Vichar and giving your time. You certainly made some brilliant observations, and I hope you will again come back to Bharat Vichar and express your views. Thank you very, very much. Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you.